Smith Center, the Tar Heels take on Wake Forest. North Carolina and Wake played earlier this year, and it was a game dominated by the Demon Deacons. It was the first game after North Carolina lost that heartbreaker against Duke, and the Tar Heels flat didn't show up. And Brandon Childress did. He had a double-double, 14 and 10. Cole Anthony had 15 points. So the Tar Heels as a team, they only made 1 of 16 from the three-point arc, and Wake Forest sat back and enjoyed the fruits of their labor, led by as many as 26, and ended up winning by 17. Reese Davis and John Crispin with Weisberg will be with us in just a little bit. These two teams fighting to stay out of the cellar in the ACC. But Carolina can win 3 in a row for the first time since November. Wake followed its victory over Duke with a good performance against Notre Dame. So how do you avoid just trying to play out the string?
Well, first off, you want to build momentum into a postseason situation where everybody shares the same fate. A loss and you're done. So I think for Carolina, a team that's been playing well, but frankly, both teams have been playing their best basketball as of late. But Carolina's that team that has been close all year. The last couple games, playing their best basketball at the right time.
Now, this is something you don't see all the time. If you will look, North Carolina has its starting 6 on the floor. And Caleb Ellis, a graduate player from Apex, North Carolina, who was elevated from the junior varsity team, will go to the side. Roy Williams puts all of his seniors out there as the officials count, and one of them sends his way back to the bench to make sure that all the guys get to enjoy the start on senior night. All of them are introduced as starters, and on the first possession, Olivier Sarr, who has just been playing terrific basketball, the reigning ACC Player of the Week, gets one stuck twixt the rim and the backboard. Here are the 5 gentlemen who will stay on the floor. Robbie O'Han, like Caleb Ellis, elevated from the junior varsity team, which not a lot of places have anymore, but it's a rich tradition here at North Carolina. Brandon Robinson, a normal starter, has the ball in his hands. Justin Pierce, graduate transfer from William & Mary. Now to Shea Rush. Rush is son of Jerron Rush's uncles Brandon and Kareem. Longtime NBA players, played at Kansas and Missouri. Now Wake, here's the starting lineup. Freshman with the ball is Jacoby Neef. He gets the start tonight. And the first bucket of the game is delivered by Isaiah Musius.
So far, you want to find a little rhythm. I think for Carolina, you want to just get the ball moving, maybe get one of these guys a good look. But you also want to defend. It's a good opportunity to get in and defend. I love it.
Hey, I was talking to Shea Rush this afternoon at practice. I said, let it fly, big fella, and he did. Pierce going to get him another one. O'Han putting it on the deck. Shot clock now down to 7. You know, I like this that Roy does. He actually lets the guys stay out there and play a little bit. Doesn't tell anybody to kick the ball out of bounds and change it. And there'll be an offensive foul drawn by Justin Pierce, and charge comes, and charge is on Musius. There is Roy Williams, having one of the more difficult seasons of his tenure at North Carolina. His 17th season. North Carolina's already lost 17 games. School record for losses in a season is 20, as several guys go to the bench. Keeling, O'Han, and Rush. Cole Anthony has now checked into the game, along with Leaky Black and Garrison Brooks, who's been playing his best basketball of late. Right on cue, Garrison, thank you very much.
Carolina, they found comfort against that zone, against Syracuse, and Wake coming out in the zone, and the ball's easily moved, and a good seal, and an easy dunk. That's a good way to get those starters in rhythm early. Or non-starters?
Yeah, guys coming off the bench. The bench points might look a little bit different tonight for North Carolina. Leaky Black with the rebound. Despite the outstanding shooting performance that North Carolina had against Syracuse on Saturday, Danny Manning pretty resolute that he was going to make North Carolina prove that they could make jump shots. Wanted to make sure that Anthony's shots, along with Brandon Robinson's, were contested. That one was, and it didn't matter. Cole Anthony with the 3.
There's different kinds of contested shots. There's the shots that are contested when you're there on the catch, and then there's other shots where you're closing out. And you want to avoid those long closeouts. Those are easier shots to make. It's the ones where you're there on the catch. That's a good contested shot for a defense.
Musius loses it momentarily. Isaiah to work. Olivier Sarr has it. He's working on Brooks. Sarr puts it up softly. Black try to push it for Carolina. Sars coming off the game against Notre Dame when he had a career-high 30 points, 12 of 16 from the floor.
Well, he's had a couple games where he's really shown some development. Even against Syracuse, just getting position, holding position well, and finishing.
And Sars is going to be called for the foul as Robinson got by him on the baseline. It's his first. There is Danny Manning, the head coach at Wake Forest. It's his 6th season there. Led the Demon Deacons to the NCAA tournament just once and only with one winning season, though Wake Forest is playing better basketball of late.
Yes.
Strong performance against Duke. And I thought as impressive, John, was following it up against the Notre Dame team, fighting for his tournament life and really controlling much of that game.
But also playing two completely different styles and still being able to dictate rhythm.
North Carolina is a sub 30% three-point shooting team on the season, one of the worst in America. They've hit too early, coming off a game. You've talked a lot about confidence, and they have a little bit after the Syracuse game. And this one, as Pierce has it in the open floor, and he lays it in, and Carolina is off to a hot start, 10-2 with a 10-0 run.
You look at the three-point shooting for Carolina and you say, let's go zone and make them make threes. The problem is you get rhythm by moving the basketball. It's been too easy to move the basketball for Carolina. I feel like they're playing with a lot of confidence.
Leaky Black the steal. Black all the way. Missed the layup. There's Pierce with the putback. And Danny Manning says, don't come out casual. And his Demon Deacons have done just that. They're down 10.
Welcome back to Chapel Hill, a 12-2 early lead for the Tar Heels. And we are here at senior night and talking with Shea Rush, one of the seniors for Carolina. He told me he's wanted to play for the Tar Heels ever since he was a young kid growing up in Kansas. So Roy Williams was the head coach at Kansas at the time. Recruited his father, Geron, and also bore a very striking resemblance to the family's pediatrician. So a 3-year-old Shea was too young to tell the difference between the two. So when his doctor and Roy Williams both moved to North Carolina, he thought they were the same person. So from then on, he said, I was a Tar Heel fan, and even though my dad played at UCLA, my uncles at Missouri and Kansas, he's wanted to play for Carolina for a long time. And this is a dream come true for both him and I guess Dr. Roy Williams.
He's got his doctorate in basketball. For sure, Brooke, as Brandon Childress scores. You know, Roy, on the Dan Le Batard show, they do that March Sadness looks like.
Yeah.
I could say Roy Williams looks like a country doctor, doesn't he?
Like carries the bag, door-to-door visits.
Yeah.
Old school.
Makes house calls. Offensive rebound. Senior Justin Pierce almost rolled in the three. Black tried to keep it alive. Wake Forest Neath on the push, and then underneath. And there we go.
I see what you did there. Yeah. It's a little early for that kind of stuff, but you're already on your game. Look, I think for Wake, they've got to get to the basket, especially when you give up so many open looks and some second chance opportunities. Ideally, push that thing in transition, 2 consecutive possessions, where they're able to get all the way to the basket.
Well, Danny Manning told us today this team has to score from the free throw line. They lead the ACC in free throw attempts per game, right at 24. They shot 50 free throws against Duke. They believe in paint touches. Man, Olivier Sarr fouled out 3 Blue Devils virtually by himself. He had a large role, and he drew 10 fouls on the night.
One of the keys to paint touches is getting the defense moving. If you get the defense chasing, then you have an open paint to get the ball into.
And Mucius had it for a second, but Robinson caught him across the arm, and then it'll be Wake Forest basketball, and the foul's going to be on the senior Robinson.
I think the old school mentality is the paint touch is throw the ball to the post player and let him go to work. That's not really that's not a paint touch these days. Paint touch is get the ball with the bounce in there. Have a cutter flashing. Someone flashes the basket. There's a lot of different ways to get that paint touch, and I think Wake's done a much better job of that this year.
You see the story of the free throw line for Wake Forest. 25% of their free throws come from the free throw line. It's third in Division I, and the great Dean Smith, who some would say is the Jackson Pollock of coaching all time. His masterpiece said the most efficient place to score the basketball is from the free throw line. I know some say Michelangelo.
I was going to say, is this you, or are you the only one that says this, or?
No, my stats guy, John Magri, is a avowed Jackson Pollock fan. He wanted me to refer to Dean as Jackson Pollock rather than Michelangelo. A great masterpiece inside for the and one from Garrison Brooks.
Well, look, the best basketball is a combination of Pollock and Michelangelo, right? It's not always pretty, right? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I guess. The best coaches find ways to win in any way possible. And I think the best coaches also adapt to their personnel. They adapt their style to their personnel at times, and it may not look pretty, but it's all about the outcome.
That foul was called on Odi Oguama. And Garrison Brooks has been a little up and down at the free throw line. We were here last week and saw just a virtuoso, brilliant performance. He was 14 of 16 from the line, but he's had a couple of offers. One in a close loss to Boston College, 0 for the night, 0 for 5 against Duke, and that close overtime loss to Blue Devils.
It really is such a confidence thing, right? We talk about the foul shooting dips. It's like a golfer with the shanks. I mean, it's nothing you can really try to fix. You just have to shoot and get over it. And at times, he's looked great. I think his shot looks great. Just there are times it just doesn't go in.
Well, guys, too, it's taken him some time to get used to wearing the goggles. I mean, the last week we were here, we saw North Carolina State with a hard foul and just completely break them off his face. But Coach Williams telling us today that when he started to wear them, he couldn't even see the rim. And I said, Coach, I want to be out there, but you can't see it, you can't shoot it.
Christian Keeling on the miss in the drive. The fourth turnover from Wake Forest. Childress with a great bounce pass, and Musius went for the stuff, and he was fouled. What a good look from Brandon Childress. Foul was called on Keeling.
Brooks just got a little lost coming back, tried to stop the basketball with Cole Anthony. Didn't realize offensive player just sliding right by. It's sort of the toughest thing when a defense isn't set. It's the hardest defense to play, right? You got to communicate. You got to identify threats. It's not just identify shooters, identify threats. You still protect that basket.
Musius just 14 of 28 from the free throw line. Now over 50%.
You're welcome. He said he was going to make it. He'd probably miss. Look,
I didn't say either. I just stated the fact.
The fact was not that positive, though. You know, it's like he's shooting 50%. So something to prove. Look, I think the best offense. Let me go back to this. I think the best offense is a team that's got 5 threats. It's really hard to develop that in a conference like the ACC, where night in, night out, you're going to face different lineups, different styles. And I think that's been one of the challenges for Carolina in finding that balance.
On a night, Super Tuesday, where pure objectivity is in rare supply, I would say this stating that he's a 50% free throw shooter is the epitome of that, is it not?
Yes, that is.
And he was just that, 1 for 2 from the line. 14-10 as Brooks spins past the freshman Oguama, and he'll have a chance for a three-point play.
Brooks is one of those guys where you do have to play defense early. Does a good job. He's got great footwork. He gets his body into the defender. And if you don't play your defense early, you get caught in a bad situation. It's too easy of a catch. You got all the room in the world, no help. Brooks is going to have his way.
Oguama just picked up his second, and Brooks is coming off a 26-point, 14-rebound performance at Syracuse on Saturday. Has a quick half dozen.
Brooks was right. We were here last week. I mean, he got smacked hard in the face, which made me think it's a good thing he was wearing those glasses. So those things went flying.
It was a scratched cornea that led to wearing the glasses. There's the sweet, soft touch. He looked terrific shooting in practice today.
I think that's the real head scratcher. You watch some of these guys and you say, he's got a really pure stroke. But the mental side of shooting free throws is crazy. I mean, you just don't realize it until you get into a situation like this.
Into the game and getting a shot up for Wake Forest is Ismail Massoud. Didn't get it to go off the board. Now Keeling, who's been really playing well on offense, missed from the corner.
No, Keeling's seeking out a shot. You're always a much better shooter when you seek out your shot. Guys that wait for it to come their way, they're not shooting with confidence.
He's had 2 straight games, John, in which he set his Carolina high. He played Charleston Southern, averaged about 17 points a game. He's found his stride here at North Carolina, and that foul called on Leaky Black, his first.
Oh, it's funny, talking to Coach Roy Williams, I just said, look, I need that consistency, the guy that doesn't value every possession, you can't trust. And I think he's grown in that department where he's got much better at valuing every possession, not making a turnover and trying to make a great play, but being more consistent on the floor.
Childress is in trouble for a minute. Sharon Wright into the game. Shot clock down to the 2. Massoud's going to have to let it fly. And a good defensive possession for the Tar Heels. Wake still working that zone. Keeling fumbled the catch. He might have been able to get a shot off. So he'll go to his mid-range game, which typically is very reliable, but it rims out.
So Carolina's got to be careful not to stand too much against that zone, especially when the ball goes into the post. That's the best time to cut and move.
Henry and White, who's been a starter for most of the year, and their top three-point shooter, makes his 53rd of the season. And Wake Forest has scratched and clawed its way back within 4. Bad turnover from Robinson. Here comes Childress. Childress, a little hesitation, and there's going to be a block called on the inside. As Cole Anthony might have been inside the restricted circle. That's his first foul. Just under 11. ACC Network Basketball is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Maui Jim Invitational broke out an 8-foot handcrafted surfboard, gave to Carolina. They're going to go to the tournament in 2020. You see the cast of characters that will be there. Carolina has won the Maui Jim Maui Invitational 4 times. You know, the last 3 times that they won the Maui Jim Maui Invitational, you know what happened?
What happened?
They won the national championship as well. How about that? And with 4 McDonald's All-Americans coming in next year, perhaps they'll have an opportunity to duplicate that feat.
Where do you put those? Because that's the participation one, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I would think an 8-foot handcrafted surfboard is suitable for use, so you could take it out, right? You're only a couple hours from the waves of the Atlantic
It's
here.
not a longboard. That's not like a stand-up paddleboard. That looks like a...
Yeah, I mean, it's a legit surfboard, right?
I would assume so. I just don't know. I mean, this is a team. This is a program that collects championships, right?
Yeah. Well, fun memorabilia didn't hurt anybody. Olivier Sarr asking for the ball in against Brooks. Spins away, goes baseline, and Brooks fouls him. Olivier will go to the line to shoot a couple. Sunday night, right here on the ACC Network and the ESPN app, the ACC Wrestling Championship, the University of Pittsburgh's Peterson Event Center. Coverage of the final starts at 7 Eastern. North Carolina State, reigning champions, and won the ACC title on 16 occasions.
Is that your wrestling voice? Gave us a little Sunday night. Sundays. That's Monster Truck.
You're right. I need to break into a little Mean Gene.
Yeah, a little Mean Gene. Oh, well done.
Olivier Sarr is really starting to develop. He's more than doubled his scoring average. You see the sports he played as a kid, judo, soccer, and basketball. He's from France. Really starting to come into his own, and Danny Manning telling us today that there's still so much more potential for him to continue to grow as a 7-footer, has pulled the Demon Deacons even at 7. They fell behind right out of the gate on a 7-0 run to get back even. Falling behind by 10 right in the early going.
Well, I think Olivier Sarr's been much better with more responsibility. They've thrown him the ball and allowed him to make plays, and I think the responsibility is what gives you confidence.
He only had 6 points in the first meeting, and Cole Anthony went 0-6 from 3 in the first meeting against Wake Forest. He's already hit a couple. He has 6 points.
Well, he's shooting a higher percentage. I mean, shooting over 50% from 3 over the last couple of games. I mean, that's the key. I think part of it is he's taking better shots. He's finding a better rhythm in the game, and when you find that rhythm, you shoot a higher percentage.
Shot very well at Syracuse, 7 of 11 from 3 on Saturday. Finished with 25 points, 8 of 13 overall, and 92-point offensive outburst from North Carolina against Boeheim's zone. Johnny Brown returns for Wake Forest. A physical junior card. Wake Forest is 9-3 this year when Brown gets into double figures, but he's still got the bagel in the scoring column so far tonight. Anthony misses. Brown gets the rebound. No offensive rebound on that trip. In North Carolina, you might have noticed that Armando Bacot has not yet checked into the game. Sprained an ankle against Syracuse. It's the opposite ankle from the one he hurt earlier this year. He was doing a little bit in practice. They thought he might try to give it a go, but so far we've not seen North Carolina's leading best offensive rebound.
Oh, he just occupies such space. I mean, he's a tough guy to keep away from the block. The more you use him around the perimeter, the harder it is to block him out.
And you play text into the game. Brandon Robinson for three.
And the defense for Wake Forest just getting lost. They've gotten lost a couple times following the basketball. When I say follow the basketball, they follow with their eyes. You lose sight of your man, and that's simple principles that it's so easy to forget as you age in this game, right? It's see man, see ball.
Sort of a wild-looking shot from Ismail Massoud. And Anthony's back into the front court on the push. He gets by Neef, lays it up. Lucius clears it away for the Deeks. Brooks and Leaky Black waiting to return. Childress and Sarr the same for Wake Forest. A little high-low action. Good dump inside. Took Lucius a while to figure out he was wide open, and he laid it home.
Yeah, Cole Anthony gave him a little flyby, but a good sit-down, good footwork. That was the thing, just good passing action for Wake Forest to kind of get something going, get some energy going in this game. A couple stops will help.
But Keeling's really shot a high percentage, up 58 or 57% over his last 8 games. He can't get one to go so far. 4-point lead for North Carolina.
College basketball, you got to be prepared for everything.
He got it!
Good golly, Miss Molly. Yes!
Anything can happen. Championship week. See what lies ahead. The notable tournaments you can see on the various ESPN networks. ACC tournament will be in Greensboro on the ACC network, and ESPN championship game on Saturday night, the 14th. You had to take a flyer from any of those high major tournaments. The team is not going to make the NCAA tournament without winning the conference tournaments. Would you place a chip on North Carolina?
Look, we've talked about this. It's hard to really buy into that, but when you start to look closer at it, you'd say yes, considering all the close losses for Carolina, considering how much better they've gotten over the last few games. I think a lot will be determined by whether they come out with confidence against Duke.
Chaundee Brown went and put one off the glass, but he's called for the offensive foul.
I think one of the most, just the craziest stories has been UCLA, though. UCLA, what a crazy story. I mean, not even in the conversation. Kind of left for dead in December, and they just turn it around. They're tough, physical, playing with confidence, and Mick Cronin's done a terrific job out there.
They win the Pac-12 regular season. Now, we've seen Pac-12 regular season teams get left out in the past. Happened to Washington a few years ago, so there's no guarantee that they'll make it, but they appear to be trending toward the right side of the bubble. And the foul was called, offensive foul on Garrison Brooks. It appeared to be the proper call from my vantage point.
The little extend of the arm, I think you did a great job of holding position. It wasn't egregious, but it is about that advantage game. I think those are the calls that I like the most. If you're doing something to gain an advantage, make the call. And if no advantage is gained, let go.
Garrison foul was his second. Cuts off Chaundee Brown on the baseline. Mucius for three.
I still feel like for Wake Forest, you've got to start to play with a little bit of assertion on the offensive end. That doesn't mean take bad shots. It means cut with a purpose, pass with a purpose. We've seen a couple opportunities that just haven't come together because they hadn't made good passes.
Childress got up somehow. Looked as if Leaky Black was going to swat it away. And Brandon now has 6. It's a 2-point game.
How that got up.
I thought Leaky had that thing swatted. Somehow wound up in the basket.
He got an opportunity, got the switch.
Now Brooks on the baseline, draws a foul, and he'll go to the free throw line.
I mean, look, how this thing gets up, and I like that. This is what I talk about. Just be aggressive. How that didn't get blocked. I mean, it's like an Ephus pitch that you whiff on, right? It was just sitting right there. It's baseball season, right?
Yeah. Olivier Sarr has picked up his second foul. Odi Oguama is at the scorer's table. He's going to return. He also has 2.
It's interesting. Olivier Sarr picks up the foul. He was the backside help. And you got to know, Lucius, in that moment, you're covering the big. You can't give him that angle because it puts Sarr in a bad situation where all he could do was foul. And those are the things that you develop as you go, right? And that's the feel we talk about. Feel is also knowing I've got a foul. I don't want to pick up another one. Let me get over early and just wall up. Play safe defense.
And Sarr, coming off that 30-point game against Notre Dame, only had 6 in the first meeting against Carolina. Just has a couple of free throws. Is on the bench with a couple of fouls as Childress takes a tumble, and Cole Anthony's going to pick up his second foul. Reminder that Nothing But Net crew will be at the ACC Women's Basketball Tournament, Greensboro Coliseum, Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern. That'll wrap up the quarterfinal matchup. Highlights and full breakdowns of every game. You can only get this analysis and insight one place, right here on the ACC Network and on the ESPN app.
Fans didn't like that call. Look, I think at some point, they have to call the initial hand check because a lot of times the initial hand check that isn't called leads to a travel that ends up getting called. And we've talked about the freedom of movement, but a lot of times that initial hand check causes a problem for the offense. So you let it go and it becomes an issue.
Air ball from Leaky Black. Knees on the push, Shawnee Brown, and Leaky keeps him from getting the layup, and it'll be North Carolina ball. 6th turnover of the night for the Dukes.
It's not egregious, but that's a hand check. Again, not bad, but it's a hand check. It's to gain an advantage as a defender, so you do have to call that. Don't get me wrong, I specialized in a hand check when I played. I think I two-hand check, like double hand check. But the game is so different nowadays in the sense that they're trying to take that away, and it does give the advantage to the offense.
Good look from Anthony, and Brooks puts it home.
Cole Anthony's an underrated passer. Not as if he's like underrated in the sense that we don't appreciate. Look, the kid's just a player. That was so good it looked like an accident.
Yeah. Watch the flip behind the head.
I'm telling you, look, sometimes the best scorers can be the best passers because if you watch the drive, he drew 3 defenders. And that foul shot looked good.
That foul was on Oguama, John. It's his 3rd. With a freshman who Danny Manning says plays with a lot of intensity, plays hard, but still sort of learning what he's doing out there. I would advise being careful coming out to set the ball screen right now, too, and there he is.
They call that every single time.
Yeah.
They just stand there.
Yeah, he kind of gave him a little nudge, too. Lucius from just inside the 3-point line. He has 7.
Yeah, but you know what Oguama's got that you've got to appreciate? He's got a motor. You know, he's looking to set screens, sometimes to a fault.
Brooks fumbled it away. An unforced turnover. 4th turnover of the night for Carolina. Brown. And it'll be an offensive foul on Brown. Good position by Justin Pierce. 2nd foul on Chaundee Brown. And the team that leads the ACC in getting to the free throw line is instead committing a lot of fouls tonight.
Yeah, and Justin Pierce got there early. That's a tough play in transition. And that is just reading the game. That's not just reading the play. That is, like I say, feeling that game out. The ball's thrown ahead. He realizes his teammate's not in position to stop the drive. Put himself in position to get the stop.
Now, Brown's averaging nearly 13 points per game, but he's yet to scratch tonight. Anthony. Bucket. 9 for Cole Anthony.
That's too easy for the best scorer on the floor.
I think he's shooting a little better than he did in Winston-Salem. 0 for 6 from 3 that night. 5 of 19 from the floor. What might have been his poorest game as a Tar Heel. And he's come out playing some excellent basketball in the first half tonight.
Oklahoma may have gotten away with one there. He almost picked up another foul on that screen.
He's not shy in there. He's not. Brooks with the shot clock at 5. And fade away. And fight for the rebound in there. I think the foul is going to be called on Justin Pierce.
Cole Anthony's, if he moves well, if he reads the defense well, as he does here, he's going to get open shots. And when you get open shots, you shoot a higher percentage, and you build that rhythm on the offensive end.
ACC Network Basketball is brought to you by Farm Rich. Are you hungry? Grab a snack. Roy Williams greeting all of his seniors, a half dozen of them honored tonight in a pregame ceremony. Seniors will speak to the crowd following the game. Some of these seniors, ones who've been around for the full 4 years, got a couple of graduate transfers, a couple of guys elevated from junior varsity squad, but freshman class, part of that national championship team, 2017, that beat Gonzaga. North Carolina with a 6-point lead. See, their shooting from 3 is much improved.
Yes.
5 of 9 tonight, 1 of 16 in the first meeting. Garrison Brooks, Cole Anthony have scored 21 of the 31. Wake Forest is staying on brand. They're now 9 of 10 from the free throw line, scored well over 30% of their points from the line, and they've made more free throws than North Carolina has attempted, which is always one of the goals of Danny Manning's team, and they've executed that part of it fairly well. Bucius goes 1 for 2, and they get the bounce out. A chance to draw even closer.
And guys, the message out of the Wake Forest huddle was taking care of the basketball. Carolina with 12 first half points off turnovers. A lot of those coming in Forest. You've seen charges, just shots that have turned into fouls and turnovers. So that's their biggest focus as these last 3 minutes go of the first half.
So like travels like that, that's a problem. That was, yes, that was like on cue. I think sometimes it's hard when you point that out and say, guys, we got to take care of the basketball. You start to overthink it, and at times it makes you turn the basketball over. You want guys to make smart plays, but you also need them to be aggressive. That's that tough balance that you're seeking out throughout the course of the game.
Demon Deacons are next to last in the ACC in turnovers per game, averaging about 14. They're on pace. They already have 8 in the first half tonight. Short miss from Pierce. Childress on the foot. Leaves it for Neath. The freshman who maybe wasn't quite ready the first time he got some chances to start in ACC play, but had some positive contributions in the first half tonight. Wasn't able to get the bucket to go. High-low and miscommunication from Pierce and Garrison Brooks results in a Carolina turnover.
I gotta think this pace right now favors Carolina.
There's Brooks running ahead. Anthony found him, and Garrison just fumbled the thing away. And some active hands from Demon Deacons, but typically Garrison's a little stronger with the ball around the bucket.
I do think this is a team that does run well, and I think Cole Anthony, again, we underrate his passing because we know him to be more of a volume scorer. He's a guy with good vision.
Wade's whipping that ball back and forth across the court as if there will be no repercussions. So far there haven't been. Neath gonna fire from 3 and knock it down.
And that was good ball movement, change sides of the floor, a little dribble action to get inside the paint. That's the paint touch you're looking for. With the bounce, brings the defense with the basketball.
Neath with his 11th three-pointer of the year. It only attempted 22 coming in, so he's right at 50%. And there's Garrison Brooks. He now has 14.
See, bad or awkward misses are the easiest offensive rebounds. They just never come off the way that you would think a rebound's going to come off. And Brooks was right there.
Andrian White, smooth-looking 3. He's got a couple of those tonight. He's got 6 points.
You know, the strange thing with the energy of this game, it doesn't feel like a one-point game. It feels as if Carolina has been in control, but Wake has had answers when they need to have answers.
Brandon Robinson inside the three-point arc. He's got 8. It's kind of it's like there's not intensity. There's a little bit of a running in mud feel to it, even when the pace gets a little quicker. Imagine a close game. We'll pick it up in the second half, see how each team finishes the first half. Childress goes underneath the bucket and lays it home. Brandon Childress into double figures.
It's kind of that murky flow to the game.
Anthony misses. Bucius with the rebound, and after all of this, Wake Forest a chance to go to the locker room with a halftime lead.
Carolina started this game so strong. You think about it, they started 6 seniors, right? Took one out. And you bring in the regular starters, and they went on a terrific run, a 10-2 run to get this thing started. But now, since settled in, and I think Wake has more confidence now. Not even having Olivier Sarr on the floor.
Childress missed it. Ball out of bounds. It'll stay with Wake Forest. They've got 3.2. Try to get a shot up. Need some substitutes coming in for the final seconds. Ismail Massoud returns for Wake Forest. Keeling, Leaky Black back on the floor. Platek back out there. Now he'll return to the bench.
Smart move. Get Odio Guava off the floor. Let's not pick up your fourth foul here with 3.2 seconds left.
And there might be some contact here in the last 3.2. Nodi is not a man who shies away from contact.
Which I appreciate.
Underneath, not much room. Musius fades and can't get it to go. And Wake Forest, who had a 2-0 lead to start, very nearly hit the last basket of the first half to take the lead. But as it is, North Carolina on senior night leads by a single. 35-34 the score at the break. Stay tuned for the ACC halftime report. Packer and Durham after these messages. We welcome you back to ACC Network Basketball presented by Geico. Just about set to start the second half here in Chapel Hill. North Carolina and Wake Forest senior night for the Tar Heels, and they are up 35-34. Reese Davis and John Crispin here. Brooke Weisbrod will be with us in just a second. North Carolina's never finished last in the ACC in the regular season. That's where they sit right now. This game has been a little bit flat. What do you anticipate seeing in the second half?
Well, I really want to find out who's going to come out and give a little energy to this game. Play with some confidence. Play with something. Play as if you've got something to lose. I think that's been the problem. You think about two teams towards the bottom of the standings. Who's going to want to turn momentum around heading into the ACC tournament? I think it was a decent start for North Carolina when they got their regular starters on the floor, but they were not able to sustain.
There are only 2 guys in double figures in this game. Both of them have been outstanding. Garrison Brooks with 14 for North Carolina, and Brandon Childress has 10 for Wake Forest.
Yeah, Garrison Brooks was good, particularly when you think about demanding the basketball down low. Obviously, getting Olivier Sarr out of the game with 2 fouls was big, and he was able to dominate when he got the ball in scoring position. 5 of 7 from the floor, 14 points. Keeping himself out of foul trouble will be key in the second half. But on the other side, Brandon Childress has to be the guy that establishes at least the tempo, the pace, even the feel for the game. When he creates, he's much better. When he creates, his teammates are much better. I think early in this game, or in the second half, I should say, he's got to get Olivier Sarr going. Olivier Sarr has been important when they played well.
Nicole Anthony wasn't in double figures, but he played very well also with 9 points and 2 assists. 1 point lead for Carolina. Brooks spoke with Roy Williams.
Well, 12 points off turnovers in that first half. You also shot 50% from behind the 3-point line. Still a 1-point game. Where's your best opportunity to get separation?
Well, we've got to do a better job of not putting them on the free throw line. They shot twice as many free throws as we did, and can't make those silly fouls, so it goes both ways because we've got Garrison with 2 fouls and Cole with 2 fouls, and now with Armando, because we thought we'd have a chance with Armando and decided in warm-ups that we weren't going to have in, so we're thin anyway. We've got to make sure that we play without fouling.
Thank you.
Roy referring to Armando Bacot, as I'm sure you know, sprained an ankle against Syracuse, did not practice yesterday, went through some work during the shoot-around earlier today, went through warm-ups, and ultimately decided that he would not be able to play. Brandon Robinson, first shot of the second half, rims out. Sarr back into the game, and he has a rebound. Now, Sarr didn't score much, only had a couple of free throws. He did have 5 rebounds in the first half, so he has a half dozen. I think Carolina is much improved from the 3-point line in this second game than the first time. Wake Forest with several guys contributing to their offensive cause. I hope you get more from that guy, Olivier Sarr, here in the second half. Kobe Neath trying to get it to the corner, and it's knocked out of bounds. There'll be 5 left on the shot clock for the Deeks.
Well, part of Carolina's success from the 3-point line was getting good shots. And getting good shots is not just open looks. There are shots that you catch the ball in rhythm, and they were able to move the basketball easily against the zone. So I would look for that early in the second half. If Wake Forest is going to commit to the zone, move the ball around. Get inside, get that dribble paint touch, kick out. Those are the high percentage threes you're looking for.
And they tried to get it to Sarr on the inbound and a turnover for Wake Forest. Cole Anthony, who didn't hit a three in the first meeting, hit 3 of them in the first half, and that is his second just electrifying assist. Third assist of the game. 2 of them have just been beautiful like that.
Just a little look off, and you got to remember when you're such a scorer as Cole Anthony is, all the eyes flow to the basketball, and that's when opportunities to cut back behind the defense, are going to be there.
Cole knocks it away and almost did the splits, showing the great flexibility.
I'd be done for the year. I'd be done for the year.
Well, since coming back from that knee injury, he'd be second in the country in scoring among freshmen if he had played enough games to qualify statistically. But scored right at 20 points a game. Sarr gets the offensive rebound, goes up, and his first field goal of the night. Cole Anthony quickly in transition.
That's where he's at his best, in transition. Like I said, he's got a knack for scoring the basketball, and it's not something you can teach. It's just something you do, and he's got it.
Isaiah Musius from 3, and we're locked up at 39.
Wake Forest has had answers. Struggling to get stops at times, and I like going back to the man here. They were better in the man in the first half than they were in that zone.
Robinson, corner 3.
Just not on that possession.
11 for Brandon Robinson on his senior night here in Chapel Hill. And Robinson has been dealing with a bad ankle for virtually the entire year. Foot bothering him a little bit there. Leaky block Chaundee Brown's shot, and then making matters worse, Chaundee's going to be called for the foul as Robinson tries to walk it off right in front of Roy Williams.
Roy Williams even said, because I asked him against that in the NC State game, it seemed like he landed funny, maybe on his foot. And he said, no, he actually took a shot to the ribs. And he joked that he didn't really have a lot of cushion there to withstand the blow. And it didn't X-ray, seemed like everything was all right.
The foul on Brown was his third, so he'll spend some time on Danny Manning's bench. Robinson, the senior from Douglasville, Georgia, still just about 175 pounds if he's had a really good meal. So he's put on about 10 during his time. He's just a lean, thin guy. I was going to say, we all should be so lucky, right? Ismail Massoud from the corner rattles out, and Brandon has the rebound. See Pierce cut baseline right there. Would you like to see him come in there a little more aggressively, a little more purpose?
Look, if you want the basketball, you got to cut in front of the defense. You got to make contact with the defender. What I didn't like was when Cole Anthony kind of went to play back to the basket, Pierce ran right in front of him. And that's what I talk about, like the feel, that chemistry part of the game. You've got to play together a lot to develop that. And quite frankly, if I'm going big picture college basketball-wise, I think that's been an issue in college basketball. You've got so many new pieces year in, year out. And we want to say that's the one and done. It's also the transfers. You got so many transfers. It's hard for these guys to develop a chemistry on the floor.
Leaky Black shoots the free throw. That was a rather big foul called against Wake Forest. It is the third for Olivier Sarr. So the freshman, Odi Oguama, who played a good portion of the first half with 3 fouls because Sarr was on the bench as Danny Manning was trying to protect him. And now Danny is counseling his 7-foot junior center.
How long until Oguama picks one up? I mean, he's a guy, he just goes hard. And I don't want to say he's got one speed, but he's got energy and effort at times. So he picks up, even on those screens. He sets a great screen, but he's calling a lot of those fouls.
Got his 4th rebound on the defensive end and was knocking folks around coming out of there, going for the offensive board. Manning's really high on his future, just has to learn a little more about how to play. And that was a smart play right there not to foul. He's trying to defend Garrison Brooks. But Garrison now has 16.
Garrison Brooks just took the glasses off, threw them onto the sideline. Souvenir for somebody.
Every time we come, he does that. He did it last week against NC State, too. Childress a little pull up. Brandon Childress now with a dozen.
So there's mid-range game, and then there's just good decision. That's a good decision. Why take it into the teeth of the defense when you can shoot a little 10-foot float?
Went for the lob to Garrison Brooks, and now if you had 1 minute and took the under on Oguama's foul, you are a winner as Odie picks up his fourth. Some issues for Wake Forest. ACC basketball is brought to you by Zaxby's. Hand-breaded chicken and fresh ingredients made to order only at Zaxby's. Let's take a look at tonight's player spotlight brought to you by Geico, and it is Cole Anthony.
Cole Anthony has really developed throughout the course of this season. At times, look, we've seen him score a lot of points, but if you watch his overall game, he's gotten much, much better. Share the basketball more. He's feeling out his opportunities, making teammates better. And I gotta say, the more he moves with the basketball, the better this team is.
Garrison Brooks at the free throw line after that foul on Oguama. The player spotlight brought to you by Geico. Anthony's really shot the ball well his last couple of games. I mentioned earlier, 7 of 11 from 3 against Syracuse, 8 of 13 overall. He's hit 3 3-pointers tonight. And Garrison Brooks, who had shot well from the free throw line recently and tonight. This is the pair there.
Well, he's hit 3 3-pointers, and they were all good looks.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. I get it. Look, you got to get the best scorer shots. He's one of the best scorers in the country, so you got to get him shots. But I think when he takes good ones early, he creates a rhythm for himself and for his team that just makes the game easier.
Leaky Black just picked up his second foul. John said the foul situation right now for Wake Forest, and it is a bit of an issue. Oguama, one of their big men, Odie Oguama, is on the bench with 4 fouls. Olivier Sarr, the 7-foot big man, the reigning ACC Player of the Week, has 3 fouls right now. So too does Chaundee Brown, who's averaging about 13 points per game. And at the moment, none of those guys, all of them important to Wake Forest fortunes, on the floor.
Yeah. It's just sad faces. It's terrible. Look, it's tough. And right now, Wake, I think this is what they've got to do. Pick up the pace of the game a little bit, even though that does at times favor North Carolina. You got to speed the game up a little. Little traps, get the ball out of the scorer's hands.
Pretty small lineup out there right now for Wake Forest, and Brooks will go back to the free throw line as he's fouled.
And a lot of people say, well, go zone. If you go zone, it helps, you know, keeps guys out of foul trouble. The problem is when shots go up against the zone, you as a defense are not in position to rebound. You're not boxing anybody out, and you often give up offensive rebounding opportunities when you don't have that size advantage. It's going to be tough sledding.
Ishmael Massoud was called for that foul. Brooks returning to his previous form by knocking in that free throw. So how much longer do you think Sarr sits for the 3 fouls?
It's going to be tough. I mean, 3 points, not a bad deficit. I still think the foul shots from Brooks look good.
Well, he's 6 of 9 tonight.
And we consider his struggles. They look good. They look like he's shooting with confidence. But yeah, I'd say, look, you get 5, 6, 7 points down, but again, it's feel. Coaches don't just look at the scoreboard and say, oh my gosh, we're losing this game. They got to feel it out too. What's this group on the floor doing? That's great action offensively, so maybe let's stick with that.
And a tremendous pass. Brandon Childress inside to Musius. He's got a 2-point game. Crowd is not full here tonight. A few seats scattered here and there in the rafters. Late arriving crowd. Snarled traffic as is customary in the Triangle region on workday afternoon. But it's been a little quiet right now. Another good look from Anthony. Brooks finishes it off. Brooks with 20 again. He's just been on a scoring tear of late, John. We saw him a 25-plus point game against NC State. Did the same thing against Syracuse. Could be on his way to 3 in a row. He's had his 10th 20-point game of the season now. Childress along the baseline.
That was pretty.
That looked like the old man right there.
That was really pretty. I mean, he took it away from the defense. As they can't get a stop.
Now Brooks is going to work. There's no size inside to slow him down. And Garrison taking full advantage. And it's an offensive basket interference on Musius. I think that might have been going in, too.
That thing was rolling in. The little English on the shot from Childress. Look, I hate to say little guys, my size, but look at the spin he puts on the shot. He knows exactly where he's got to get that thing up off the glass. That was going in.
international ball still
I
good.
love international ball rules.
Yeah, just smash it down.
Confused the heck out of me in my first game over in Spain. It's like, what did he do?
Anthony pull up.
Anthony's doing a good job reading the defense in that ball screen situation. When two come his way, he's looking. But when he's got single coverage, he's going to elevate and bury the jumper.
Look, I know they haven't put Wake Forest away by any stretch of the imagination as Childress misses the three, but I think anybody that meets North Carolina in the ACC tournament is going to have its hands full.
Yes.
Anthony! Cole Anthony!
When you get a replay of that, you'll realize how ridiculous that shot was.
That was amazing. What a drive and a scoop from the star freshman. Musier spinning in. He can't get it to go. Brown with the offensive rebound. Good effort by Chaundee Brown, who's back into the game playing with 3 fouls. How about this move from Cole Anthony?
Sometimes it's good just to appreciate it. Look, you have no idea. I think he shot that with his left. I got to watch it
Did.
again.
Inside hand, sure did.
He shot it with his inside hand. That's ridiculous. Go ahead out back, people. Playing in your YMCA league, try to do that. See how many times you can even hit the bottom side of the ring. That was ridiculous.
And pushed Carolina's lead to 8 as Brown hits the free throw, and he's finally into the scoring column. There's his dad, Greg, pretending he's not as impressed as we are, but he had to be.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
Look at this. Or not.
It was too good. We could only show you a couple times. I would say watch out, though. When he starts making those shots, watch out. The foot gets on the gas. And when you don't have size on the floor for Wake Forest, you got to think that the ball's going to get attacked every single time down floor for Carolina.
And Carolina's hit 8 of 11 from the floor in the second half, and somehow Anthony had one that couldn't believe went in, and that last one you couldn't believe it came out. Massoud with 3. Well, Wake Forest, you've used the phrase they've had answered. They've shown some real toughness in here tonight. They haven't wilted for a second.
But they're shooting those shots with confidence. It's when it gets tight. When the game gets tight, they struggle to execute. It's like Auburn. You just got to stay down 10. You're at your best.
Brown's like he didn't get his 4th foul right there. He put 2 hands on a North Carolina player and shoved him out of the way, and now they're going to go ahead and give it to him anyway.
Sometimes when something's really good, we got to keep showing it. This is ridiculous, people. Look, try it with your right hand. It's hard. Do it with your left. It's even harder. I can't say enough. Cole Anthony's got it rolling.
Hey, fans, download that ACC 3-Point Challenge app presented by New York Live. It helps benefit the local Boys and Girls Clubs. You can score points for your school, and after the tournament, the local Boys and Girls Club will receive a donation from New York Life based on their affiliated ACC teams' final ranking. So download that app, ACC 3-Point Challenge app, today.
Hashtag good at life. I like it.
North Carolina's been good at 3-point shooting. Downloaded some app that's improved their 3-point shooting. And finally on the board tonight is the senior Christian Keeling. He's really been shooting the ball well, but it struggled early, missed his first 4 shots, and now he's got his first bucket on his final home game here at Dean Smith Center in his graduate transfer year. Ill-advised pass along the baseline results in a turnover, number 11 for Wake Forest tonight.
You and I, we were here last week talking about Christian Keeling, and it wasn't just made shots. It was kind of enhanced energy, right? He just lifted the team with his energy, his effort, but his body language was positive. And when you're struggling, that's more important than you realize.
The light really came. He was already a good player. I mean, he's got a chance for a 3-point play. I mean, I don't care what level it is. You're Division I, you're averaging 17 points, 5 rebounds, all 3 of your season. You can play. But how Roy Williams wanted him to play, the level at which he had to play with every possession, defense, all of those things, he's improved greatly across the board. And then the offense has been a terrific bonus for them. He has a chance to score 5 straight points. Sharon Wright picked up the foul, and Christian rolls it in.
I think that's something Roy Williams talked about. It's just that the level of athlete and the length at this level. And oh, by the way, if you're on the floor, you're an elite level basketball player. You're a superstar wherever you came from.
Sharon Wright, a high arching shot, brought some rain. Sharon was asking for 3. The official high steps back to the other end. He's just going to get 2. Foot on the line. Now Sharon Wright comes up with it. Knee. Oh, not quite Cole Anthony, but a sweet little move underneath. And Wake Forest still hanging around within 3.
That goes back to the answer. The answers are not just what you do on the offensive end. Sarr's got to be careful.
Yes, he does. He very nearly picked up his 4th foul. Anthony for 3.
That's the answer for Carolina. And it wasn't just a made shot. It was actually good offensive action. The ball comes in. He curls that screen out. And when he's active and moving and cutting, like I said, it's not just Cole Anthony that benefits. The entire team benefits.
He's now hit 11 of his last 18 3-point shots. There's Sarr going to work with that left hand.
But you're seeing less of the dribble threes. You're seeing more of the balls moving, catching fire threes.
And he split those defenders, and Anthony fouled after the split. Nothing but net. Cameron Indoor. After North Carolina and Duke Saturday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Highlights, analysis, complete breakdown of the game. After their first meeting, who knows what you're going to get in the aftermath of that when you can see it on the ACC Network and the ESPN app. College game day this week at Dayton in the morning, but then we'll be at Cameron for North Carolina Duke at the night. Have a chance to visit with Obi Toppin and Anthony Grant as Dayton is emerged in a threat to get a 1 seed.
It's funny. It's a really good team. I think the toughest thing for Dayton is the fact that their best win is a great loss. Mainly just because we saw them play against a team that right now I would say is the best team in the country.
Kansas, yeah.
You know, they've made adjustments throughout the course of the season that now make them the best team in the country, especially moving as a Azubuike around the perimeter. They're much better. But that Dayton team, there's still a lot we don't know about other than the fact that they're a high-level basketball team.
Anthony at his 20th point of the night, and Childress answered with a triple. He's got 17. Quite a battle going on between those two fine guards, and a sloppy turnover from Carolina.
Brandon Childress is that guy. Just kind of cold-blooded, right? Step back 3. Again, Wake has had an answer. The question is, can you put a good defensive stop with a good offensive possession?
1,300 points, 400 assists in his career. Has a tough pass to handle. Sharon Wright sort of bounced it off Sarr's knee.
I had a coach in high school that every time he did that, he threw a pass at a guy's foot, he would stop play. He'd walk up to you, grab the ball, and you knew what he was doing. He would throw it off your shin every single time to prove you can't catch that pass, so don't throw it. I just didn't pass to begin with.
You know, the thing is, though, I mean, you get the point, but it's like the pitching coach who yells, throw strikes. You know, the guy's like, yeah, well, I'm trying
the ball. What do you think I'm trying
to throw the ball to backstop. You know, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm just going to stand there and let it come off the board and let someone else get it. You know,
parents in Little League, hit the ball. Yeah, thanks.
Good
tip.
tip.
Strike out.
Pro tip.
That's a lot.
Anthony almost double dribbled.
We call them video game coaches. They just want to press all the buttons. Spin, shoot, make it. God, I love his mid-range.
Yeah, his mid-range is almost like a video game and miss. Christian hasn't been quite as hot tonight. Brandon Childress just made a 3 and then a foul on Justin Pierce is called for the foul. That's his 3rd on the grad transfer from William & Mary. Played his final game in the Smith Center in his lone season as a Tar Heel, as Andrian White returns for Wake Forest and Sharon Wright. We'll go back to Danny Manning's bench. White's hit a couple of 3 balls tonight. He is their most prolific 3-point shooter. He's about 37% on the year.
Carolina fans didn't like it. They showed it up on the big board. It could have been egregious and they wouldn't like it.
We have a fan that sits near a broadcast position who knows all the officials by name.
Oh, yes.
And critiques them regularly. Brandon Childress will go to the line. That's what Wake Forest did very well in the first half. Going to the free throw line is now Justin Pierce. He's picked up 2 quick fouls, and he has 4. Garrison Brooks is at the scores table.
Could you imagine officiating in the age of information? I'd rather officiate with like a
bag on my head or a mask or something, a Zorro mask. How about that?
Brandon Childress, his dad, Randolph Childress, of course, was a spectacular player for Wake Forest. They are the highest scoring duo in ACC history.
Talk about cold-blooded.
Yeah. Approaching 3,600 points now as Brandon continues adding to his total. Randolph scored more than 2,200 in his career, and Brandon a little under 1,400 at the moment. Brooke?
I really enjoyed watching how intense he was at shoot-around this morning, and he said, listen, if we're going to go through reps and shoot, we're going to do it at a high level. We're already warmed up, so unless you're in here to do it at game speed and execute at game speed, you can go ahead and sit down. I mean, it was just great. His intensity, I think, is really one of the things that made him stand out as a player with 107 points in 3 games at the ACC tournament.
He dropped the 40 spot on North Carolina, one of the great performances in ACC tournament history. He and Tim Duncan was in the golden age of Wake Forest basketball. An offensive foul called on the freshman knee. But let's not lose that last possession where Keeling hit the 3 right over the top of the 1-3-1 that Wake Forest decided to show us.
Christian Keeling makes a couple, those 15-foot jump shots. It's almost like that's how he gets his rhythm. And then the threes look that much better. When he's good, they've got such better balance on the floor. Harrison Brooks down low, occupying the paint. We've got perimeter shooting. I mean, this is where this team could really start to be even more dangerous.
5-point lead in the ball for North Carolina as we head toward the 8-minute mark. Harrison Brooks has had another big night. Size advantage on Chaundee Brown. Brown's had a lot of fouls called against him. He couldn't draw one that time. And in fact, it's been a tough night. They're going to call him for the foul. I know they've been asked to do that. I will go on record for the 5,000th time. I am not a fan of this block call business. Rich and storied history of Duke, North Carolina. Nothing resonates quite like Speedo Guy. Making you miss free throws. See how close it's been the last
games have been. It's been Speedo Guy.
Yeah, that's the difference right there. Duke has 1 more win, 2 more points. It's all thanks to Speedo Guy causing missed free throws. We went there for College Game Day a few years ago, and the idea was floated when Hubert Davis was with us, now assistant in North Carolina. He was an analyst with us at the time, to have Hubert and Jay Billis participate in Speedo Guy.
How'd that go over?
That not well. They both in unison, getting Duke and Carolina to agree, said we're not clowns. So fast forward to the first timeout in Cameron that night, first media timeout. They roll out people and they put them on a surfboard and they roll over people. Well, who's on that surfboard? Hubert and I were watching the game. Here comes Billis on the surfboard. And Hubert immediately starts going, oh, I'm not a clown. Oh, I'm not a clown. Right? For several years, that was the contact photo for Billis on my phone, him on that surfboard over the masses at Cameron Indoor.
I hope it was only replaced by something good.
It was.
Okay.
It was. Him sticking his tongue toward an electric fence.
Even better.
Yeah, pretty good, huh? Back to action here.
Not yet.
7-point lead for North Carolina. As soon as I informed the good people who are subscribers to the ACC Network about the ACC Wrestling Championship. Woo!
There you go.
Well, University of Pittsburgh's Peterson Event Center. Our coverage of the finals begins at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. NC State is the defending champions. They've won the ACC title 16 times. So let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Mr. Television Announcer. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And that means you have to pin the Wolfpack.
Oh, that was so well done. I thought you were going to come out with a, hey, brother. Something, yeah. That's about all I got.
You little Risa maniacs. Say your prayers. Take your vitamins. All right, serious basketball now because we're back to a 5-point game. Brandon Childress knocks down the free throws. A little pressure in the backcourt.
Token pressure. I think Wake Forest understands you can't extend to the point where you give up easy baskets, but you still want to at least dictate where the ball's going to go. That's what the best defenses do. UNC just shoots such a high percentage and they continue to get whatever they want.
Leaky Black with a strong drive. Boy, Childress has had a really efficient night. We've marveled at Cole Anthony and Garrison Brooks. 21 for Brandon. He's working on Anthony now. Gets the pick from Sarr. Now Musey has tried to bump Cole out of the way. Good work. Strong take by White. And he'll go to the free throw line. And Wake really adept at getting to the line. He hasn't done so quite as much in the second half as he did in the first. He's starting to pick up a little bit as Leaky Black picks up his third foul.
And a good steal by Olivier Sarr there. Right? A lot of times bigs will hold the seal, and as the ball comes their way on the baseline, they kind of let up. And when you let up, you allow that help defender to step in front. He held the seal, and that opened up the lane to the basket.
That is a rare miss from White, who is an 83% free throw shooter.
Carolina's second half shooting percentage, 70+% right now.
Wake Forest shooting almost 60%.
They got dwarfed by 70-something. Yeah. It's ridiculous, right? I mean, I don't want to say that it's just been great shooting. I think the defense has been lacking at times.
Maybe so, but if I see a lot of made baskets, I'm not going to argue with it.
Yeah, oh.
You know? Entertaining basketball. Make some buckets. Offensive game. Dean Smith. Brandon Robinson makes a bucket. It's a three as Carolina pushes the lead out to 9. He's got 14. Roy exhorting his defense. Childress turns the corner, kicks it back out. Brown needs a three, and he's got it. Shawnee Brown with a bucket.
They put Cole Anthony in about 3 straight ball screens, and he did a great job fighting over the top. But you've got to be aware on that throwback. The throwback is where the three is always open.
Childress knocks it away from Anthony. Cole saves it. Christian Keeling's there, and North Carolina up near the mid-court stripe with 10 on the shot clock. Anthony quickly passes it before the trap can get there. Robinson, clean look.
Boy, really imploring his guys to lock down. I gotta think they're gonna go right back to this high ball screen situation. And probably continue to go to it.
Sarr on the alley-oop pass from Childress.
You can see the defense starting to anticipate the next screen that lifted the entire defense. Great read by Childress to throw over the top. We got a little ball game here. Things have really picked up here. About 5 minutes left.
Anthony Black from the elbow. Leakey's got 7, back to a 9 for North Carolina. Childress. Carolina led by double figures early in the first half. Wake Forest kept fighting back. Now the Demon Deacons could really use a defensive stop.
Yeah, Anthony got away with going under on that screen. Just a missed shot from Brandon Childress.
Anthony wanted to get it to Brooks. Finally does, serendipitously. Brandon Robinson open, and he missed a good look. Black chases it down and throws it off of Shawnee Brown. It'll be North Carolina ball.
It's amazing what happens. You make a few plays, you get the crowd into this game, and it lifts the energy of the entire team. 50-50 balls, defensive rebounds, offensive rebounds, even making good decisions. You can see what energy does to a program.
4:02 remaining to play here in Chapel Hill. Wake Forest uses the timeout, down by 9. SEC Network basketball presented by Geico. 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Hot shooting in the second half for both North Carolina and Wake Forest. Carolina shooting 71% in the second half. Wake 57%. It all adds up. North Carolina, the 9-point lead in the ball. 2 guards have been sensational. Brandon Childress and Cole Anthony. Leaky Black found Garrison Brooks, and Shawnee Brown knocks it out of bounds. And in one of the more frustrating rules in college basketball, you play 7 seconds after a timeout. You got another timeout with the media timeout. We got to fix that in the offseason. Final 3:55 from Chapel Hill. North Carolina up by 9 on Wake Forest. Look at how these two guards, Brandon Childress and Cole Anthony, near mirror images in the stats column.
But I think Cole Anthony's been terrific. Brandon Childress has played with a little edge today that, we've seen at times. I mean, what he did against Duke was terrific, but he's really come out and had answers. But he's taken on the challenge defending Cole Anthony as well.
And he's right in his hip pocket, almost took the ball from him there. Brandon had his first career double-double the first time these two teams played, 14 and 10. Anthony had to force it up, and he missed it. And Wake Forest really needs to be efficient on the offensive end, down 9 with 3.5 to go.
Ball screen. Keep going to the ball screen. Just see how they defend it. Don't be afraid to come back to it. Sometimes the rescreen on the ball screen is where you get your opportunity.
North Carolina trying to win 3 in a row for the first time since November. Andrian White. Harrison Brooks, another rebound. Finishing has been an issue for the Tar Heels. We'll see if they can do it tonight. Does Wake Forest have another rally in them? They rallied, of course, at home against Duke to pull off that big double overtime victory. Followed it up with a win against Notre Dame. The Demon Deacons trying to sweep the season series from North Carolina, but in a little bit of trouble, or actually a lot of trouble, down 9 with under 3 to play.
You say the rally needs to start with stops. I mean, that's what it's really all about. You got to get stops first, and if you could take a good stop, get out and hit an easy basket, do it with a short amount of time coming off the clock, that's ideal. The problem is they've struggled to get these big stops, and that's going to be a foul.
Harrison Brooks going up, and Olivier Sarr, who's had a couple of great games recently, just picked up his 4th foul. He has been very quiet tonight. And nothing but net crew with the ACC Women's Tournament, Greensboro, Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern. That'll wrap up the quarters, have all the highlights, breakdowns of every game. You can only get this analysis and insight one place. It is on the ACC Network and the ESPN app.
See right now, 7-10 from the free throw line.
Yep.
It's hard to believe when you watch it. It looks good. Hard to believe that he misses so many.
And chasing the ball right in front of us. Brandon Robinson first to it. And that was a tough pass to handle. Brandon tries to get it back. Big scrum. Possession arrow. He's pointing the opposite way from the way that Jeffrey Anderson is pointing. Brandon's going to retie shoelace. Possession arrow favors the Tar Heels.
It's funny how everybody goes to call the timeout.
Yeah.
You know, if you just, I get it. It's like the automatic default. You got both teams calling timeout, and it seems like neither team ever gets it granted. I think the jump ball is another one of those ones that gets called so quickly because it can get ugly really quickly, too. That's the one anticipation call I don't mind.
Getting everything set. Tim Clougherty
trying to figure out whether there was possession gained or not. He said no.
16 seconds on the clock. Garrison Brooks, by the way, his 3rd straight game, 25 points or more.
It's been terrific.
25 points, 7 rebounds.
And again, doing this without Armando Bacot. A lot is asked of him. He's delivering.
And he's trying to deliver 2 more. Sarr with good defense with the 4 fouls. That's of little consequence at this point because Wake Forest desperate now, down by 10. Kobe Neef, the freshman guard. There's Childress shooting it over. Keeling for 3. And Childress now has 24. And Wake still has a pulse.
Yeah, you had to wonder at some point, Childress has to have the ball in his hands every single time down floor. Whether it's a ball screen or give it up and get it back, he's got to have the ball in his hands. He's done a great job with Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony's scoring, but I think Childress has certainly made it tough.
Against an outstanding offensive player, that's really all you can ask. Makes him take a tough shot. Cole makes another tough shot.
And that's also all you can ask is make him make the toughest shot possible. The problem is Cole Anthony's pretty darn skilled on the offensive end.
Garrison Brooks hedges out. 3 from the wing, and Brown has the answer. And Wake Forest, 2-possession game. 6-point lead for North Carolina. It's just a 30-second break. Don't go far.
Had a good little back and forth.
Good offenses on display. Brandon Childress has been terrific. Past few games, really been confident. He's been aggressive shooting the basketball. And when they use him well in that pick-and-roll situation, he's made good decisions. And Cole Anthony, all you can ask a defender do is to make him take the toughest shot possible. Cole Anthony, he's made some of the most difficult shots I've seen all year.
Well, he's really shooting the ball well right now. This North Carolina team has struggled to shoot it from three. But
they look dangerous.
Not tonight.
Though.
Yeah, they do.
Look dangerous.
I don't know how the stamina will play once we get to Greensboro in the ACC tournament, but I don't think you'll be eager to see the men in sky blue when the tournament starts. Leaky Black's fouled. He'll go to the free throw line. Leaky, about a 68% free throw shooter on the year.
Yeah, stamina is definitely an issue, especially, again, we talked about it particularly last week, even more so this week. Talk about the injuries. Yeah. You know, and part of the issue with injuries is you can't go 5-on-5 in practice the way other teams might be able to go 5-on-5 in practice, and that's building up that game shape that you need. There's a lot more to it than just not having guys to play.
I saw Sterling Manley's missed most of the season. Baycott was the one in uniform there on the right part of the screen. Had a really strong freshman season. Prior to tonight, he'd been the only Tar Heel to start every game. You knew they were going with a different lineup on senior night tonight, but Baycott had been the constant, and after that sprained ankle, unable to go tonight. North Carolina pushes the lead out to 8 with 97 seconds to go. Garrison Brooks, we've talked about the guards, and rightfully so, but Garrison Brooks just continues his excellent offensive play. I mentioned a moment ago, 3 straight games, he scored 25 points or more.
Well, I think part of it is he's making better reads. He's developed throughout the course of the season to the point where he's making good reads. He's putting himself in position to be able to score. He's holding his ground. And quite frankly, guys like Cole Anthony have done a good job finding him.
He is our Zaxby's player of the game, Garrison Brooks, who's been an inside presence, helped get Olivier Sarr and Odi Oguama, for that matter, in a whole lot of foul trouble.
How long did it take for Odi Oguama?
Not long.
That was the other night. They said it was Manny Bates.
Yep. North Carolina State.
Picked up, what, 4 and 11 minutes?
You know what Garrison wants to do when he finishes playing basketball?
Take my job.
Yes, he does.
Great.
Or talk show host, either one.
Do the talk show thing.
He's from Lafayette, Alabama. He's in terms of the radio station here. Sarr beats him to the basket at that time. Wake Forest hangs around, still down by 6. So it looks as if this is going to be a matter of taking care of the basketball and making free throws for North Carolina.
Oh, you got to get it to the right guy's hands. Cole Anthony just has such a confidence about it. This is what you want to see.
Running a couple of Demon Deacons at him. He passes it away before the traffic can come, and Christian Keeling will go to the free throw line. He's a 74% free throw shooter, and it'll be the end of the evening for Chaundee Brown. Friday night, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, the next edition of Bald Men on Campus, our weekend studio basketball show. They preview the weekend's ACC slate of games. Latest news from around the conference. Follically challenged. Jay Billis, LaFonso Ellis, and Seth Greenberg all host that show. Did you see the internet sensation that debuted a couple of weeks ago that I host called Not Bald Men on Campus? I found some guys on our college game day crew with flowing, luxurious manes, and we talked about television and basketball and how distracting that bald people can be when we try to perform our jobs well.
It is distracting.
Those three particular bald men
know everything too. Well, not Fonz. I'm not saying a single bad thing about Fonz.
No, because it's a scientifically proven fact, at least by me, that 2 of 3 bald men are perpetually grumpy, and the other one is wildly happy. This particular bald man usually happy, maybe grumpy right now with his team down by 7.
Disappointed, not grumpy.
His team's shown some fight tonight. And look, I'm not closing the door on him yet because they've got that guy. Childress, he's been terrific, but North Carolina is certainly in the driver's seat at the moment. And Anthony's fouled in the backcourt. But I think Wake Forest Wake Forest has shown a lot of grit. You kept using the phrase answers. They have answers, and they answered many times, many challenges on a night when Carolina really shot the ball well again.
And I think part of the issue is Olivier Sarr's foul trouble really took him out of the first half. Didn't do much at all outside of 2 foul shots in the first half, and that's a guy you rely on heavily. I think that high pick and roll game, they figured something out late, but again, if you can't get stops and Carolina shoots the way they did, look out. I don't care who it is in the ACC tournament, you better watch out for Carolina because, again, there's a team, they've been so close so many times.
Different things have to happen, and Wake and North Carolina are going to pull even in the standings at the end of the night at 6 and 13. Carolina shouldn't be able to win at Duke and other things fall their way. They might be able to avoid playing on the first day of the ACC tournament as Sarr will go to the free throw line with a chance to finish a three-point play. And I think that would have an impact on whether you could reasonably expect them to make a run to the championship game. Otherwise, you start getting into that fourth game in 4 days as opposed to third game in 4 days. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, I remember Big Ten tournament my sophomore year. Iowa did it. 4 days in a row and ended up winning the Big Ten tournament championship. And it's not easy, let me tell you that. So it'd be a tall task, but I do feel like it's that hot team that you got to watch out for. It's also the team that has nothing left to lose.
Yeah, the most notable case of that was Jim Calhoun at UConn with Kemba Walker winning 5 in 5 days and then winning 6 in the
Kemba
NCAA
Walker made
tournament.
a career out of that tournament alone.
Well, he's had a pretty good career.
No, but I'm saying, but
yeah.
it was really, I mean, you talk about being put on a national stage. He did it. He was already good to begin with, but man almighty.
And Brandon Robinson misses the free throw, so 42 seconds left. We're kind of moving into big picture game wrap conversation, but North Carolina hasn't slammed the door on this yet.
Well, foul shooting is going to be key, and then getting a stop.
Robinson 1 of 2. He has 18. A good night for the senior. Childress all the way to the basket. Sarr missed the follow stuff. Anthony chases it down. It's knocked down out of bounds, and I think they're going to call the foul. Tim Clougherty is going to step in there and before things escalate and call the foul on Jacoby Neath.
Yeah, that's kind of one of those, if the ball was out on Wake, maybe you don't call the foul, but it got hit off of Cole Anthony's leg, so they called the foul. Usually better when I see it 3 times in slow-mo.
That's a frustrating foul miss for Sarr, who's had a little bit of a difficult night. He's been really playing some terrific basketball. He's scratched out 12 points, 11 rebounds, double-double tonight, but he just hasn't felt as dominant as he has in some recent games.
Well, he hasn't had the presence. Yeah, that's what it is. That you're a better team when you have that presence on the floor. You know he's a guy you can throw the ball into, but also he's going to occupy defenders in the paint. Really hasn't had that all game.
Carolina has 91. Anthony and Brooks have 51 of those.
Yeah, I think Cole Anthony's been terrific. You know, at times, yes, he can settle and take a lot of shots, but man, he's one heck of a scorer, and he's gotten better at sharing the basketball, creating opportunities for teammates. Makes this an even more dangerous team.
That drive to the basket was somewhat significant for some of our viewers, I would imagine, as are these free throws coming up.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Anthony is 74% shooter. 27. Anthony has 28. That's 6 off his season and career high of 34. 10-point lead. White rolls out. North Carolina has it. And it appears as we're winding away the final seconds on senior night, Roy's going to call a timeout and get Caleb Ellis, who was the 6th starter tonight, and left the floor because you can only play 5 at a time. Caleb will get a few seconds to run. Member of the North Carolina bass fishing team. Played JV ball here for a couple of years, elevated to the varsity. The other seniors returning to the floor as well, as North Carolina will have a victorious senior night.
But also getting a chance to give your seniors on the floor, an opportunity to receive a nice hand. I think Danny Manning, when I watched Danny Manning, he knew it was coming too. He actually waved them down.
Yeah.
He was fully aware.
And Danny's gone to his bench as well. So Robbie O'Han and Caleb Ellis, 34 and 25, are on the floor, and somebody needs to get them the basketball, and they need to shoot. There's Robbie. Put it up, Robbie. Shoot the ball, Robbie. Oh, no. Robbie. He's a fine young man, but he needs to let that one fly, Pally. 93-83, North Carolina gets the job done.
Yeah, I think North Carolina has shown us a little something. You got to give them a lot of credit for sticking it. This has been a tough season when the expectations are always high at Carolina. But they're going to be a dangerous ACC tournament team. I'll tell you, watch out.
93-83 our final. For John Crispin, Brooke Weisbrod, and our entire excellent ESPN and ACC network crew, I'm Reese Davis. Thanks for watching. Upon Further Review is next.